It felt shady when it went down. The Baltimore Ravens pulling out of the trade for Maxx Crosby. Crosby goes back to the Raiders about over a week ago. And the fallout from that is still continuing because I think it caught everyone off guard that one of the best players in this last offseason gets traded. And then the team that trades for him backs out of the deal, claiming that it's a medical problem with Maxx Crosby and his rehab knee. And so we've discussed it here on the show. It felt shady. It didn't seem like it was all on the up and up. Abdalla's the one that really called it out from the start, being like, I don't believe anything that the Ravens are saying. I tried to be more
diplomatic.
Yes. Yeah, that's the way to say it. I was going to say even keeled, but yeah, diplomatic. Yeah, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, after listening to Maxx Crosby speak on his podcast, I'm leaning towards your side.
Welcome to the dark side.
I think the Ravens were shady as hell the way this went down.
Absolutely, because this isn't the first time they've done this. If they didn't have a track record of doing this, if this was the first time, and all of a sudden when this happened with the Ravens and Maxx Crosby, and they went back on the trade, and you didn't have a bunch of other former players come out and say that we have stories of this happening to other players and other guys that we've played with, then I wouldn't have felt this way. Then I would have said, okay, maybe there is an issue. He is almost 30 years old. There can be lingering issues from a knee problem. But the fact of the matter is, this isn't the first time the Ravens have done this to sign a better player, to get a better deal with a player, or to get out of a deal just because they had buyer's remorse.
Yeah, the players know. And when you saw the deal fall apart and immediately you saw former players, I think Will Compton's the most notable with the largest platform, who was out there saying, hey, I know someone specifically that was going to sign with the Ravens in his playing days. And the person got to the facility and the facility was like, oh, you got something wrong here. We're not going to sign you. And the guy's never missed a game in the NFL.
It was like Michael Crabtree became available and they ended up signing Michael Crabtree.
They immediately signed someone else.
Yeah.
And so it not like when that happened, I was like, I'm sure a lot of players have this opinion and they think that the teams are against them. And like I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the Ravens. I was wrong. I'm wrong. The Ravens are shady. This entire situation doesn't seem to make sense. And so why I've come to this conclusion is because I heard what Maxx Crosby said on his podcast yesterday. Let's take a listen. Here's Maxx Crosby. I'm talking about being flown out to D.C. and not Baltimore.
They flew me to D.C. because there wasn't many flights. We flew first class. They flew me to D.C. because I was only straight through. We had to drive 2 hours from D.C. all the way to Baltimore after the 5-hour flight, bro. That it was weak.
Right, you're a top-level player in the NFL, usually the way that works. And yeah, if you're someone that travels for a living, you fly a lot, maybe that doesn't sound that crazy to fly into D.C. and then drive to Baltimore, which is fair. I think if you're the type of player that Maxx Crosby is, and you're that level of athlete, you're used to different treatment, where you are flown privately on a PJ, a private jet, and that you are flown into not the commercial airline airports. You're flown into a secret private airport that only the ultra-exclusive rich people in this world know about. And I know just personally here in Chicago, the example I would give is that there are two major airports in Chicago. Yeah. There's O'Hare, one of the world's busiest and largest airports in the world. And then you have Midway, which is on the south side of the city, which also is a very busy, big airport. There is also multiple private airways, runways, and places, airports that you can go to in the northern suburbs. Yeah. Which the Chicago Bears utilize to fly people in and out when they are conducting. Now they do. They're different. Yeah, they used to be cheap, and that used to be a thing and a topic. But the point I'm getting to here, Abdalla, is there is a exclusive way to travel if you have the means. Yes. And it's not what was presented to Maxx Crosby in this situation. Here's Crosby talking about his interaction with GM Eric DaCosta and head coach Jesse Minter the first time he met them.
I thought I was going to see him when I first got there. I didn't see him for 5 hours. I go and do my thing. At the end, they're like, yeah, I'll take you up. Joe was like, I'll take you up and you go see the head coach, whatever, just before you leave. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, that's what I want to say what's up to him. So I went back up. I dap him up, and you could just tell, like, the energy was a little bit off. And the GM was standing in, like, the hall, like, in the room next to me to the right. And that was the first time I seen him. And, I'm just in my head, like, this is a whirlwind. Like, I'm so excited, like, fired up. You know what I mean? Like, this is a new opportunity, whatever. And you could just tell the energy was off. Like, I dapped him up. He had, like, a blank face. And I'm like, okay. I'm not thinking anything of it. Maybe he's just different. I don't know. I don't know him, whatever. Yeah. I go into the room. They sit me down on the couch. And he's like, man, I don't know how to say this, but, one of our doctors has concerns with the results and whatever. And, like, with your knee, like, some of them have, are concerned about the future and da-da-da-da-da. And, we really want you, and this is what it is. But, we're just going to have to get more and more opinions.
So that was Maxx Crosby in the interaction he had with Minter and with DaCosta the first time he met them after being in the facility for 5 hours before he saw the two.
First of all, when Maxx Crosby and his wife got to the facility, DaCosta and Jesse Minter should have been at the door,
right,
greeting him. Hey, welcome to the Ravens. What's up? And the dap between him and his defensive-minded head coach, Jesse Minter, should have shaken the earth that the Ravens facility was on, because you just acquired a franchise-changing player that people were trying to jump over each other to get, you traded 2 first-round picks to get, that you had to move money and renegotiate with your quarterback to move money around to acquire. As soon as they weren't there, Crosby should have known something was up.
Yep.
As soon as he walked in the door, and he did, and rightfully so, and he knew something was off, and not talking to them for 5 hours and going to the doctor first. No, hey, escort him to the doctor. Say, hey, man, we're going to talk to you while we walk, show you the facilities. Here's this, here's our weight room, here's that. Oh, here you go. We're going to take you to our doctor. That's how you do things. I know it sounds quirky, but do you remember here in Chicago, as we broadcast out of Chicago, do you remember when owner of the Bears, when George McCaskey picked up the GM Ryan Poles from the airport?
Yeah, Ned Flanders.
Yes.
Yeah, he tried to drive him to the facility with his, what was he driving, like a Toyota Corolla?
Yes, I get that.
And he had him sit in the front seat.
But the owner was there to,
hey.
but he greeted him at the airport.
Hello, I'll drive you around.
Does it not show him the respect, though, that you want him in the building?
Yes, but
okay.
It's
weird.
Painfully cheap.
It is weird. It's weird.
Strange.
It's weird.
But yes.
Okay, but if DaCosta would have been in the car with him, like in the back of the car, in the back of the black car, whatever they sent to get him, that would have been cool. Chat him up on the ride. Get to know him.
Yeah, I mean, the way the Ravens approached it makes it seem as if they decided before Crosby even got there that they didn't want him, and they just wanted to find a reason to back out of the trade. Here's Maxx Crosby on how he found out the trade was off.
One of the Ravens guys called me and was like, yo, we're trying to figure this out. We're gonna get this done. Don't worry. Like 5 minutes later, CJ calls me. He's like, they're backing out. I'm like, holy So I'm like frozen. I'm like, what the I'm livid, confused, the whole nine all in one. And so I told him, I'm like, I'm trying to get out of here, bro.
So that was Maxx Crosby on his podcast, The Rush, where he explains his side of the Ravens-Raiders situation, and it makes the Ravens look even worse than I thought that they did.
Well, and reports were that they were talking to Trey Hendrickson's people while Crosby was in the building, and then you had DaCosta saying, their GM saying that, well, we were trying to get both of them on the team at the same time. Okay, buddy. Sure you were. No, you weren't.
He did say that.
No, you weren't.
It is what he said to the public.
Yeah.
He did say that that was the case.
Sure you were. Okay. You weren't. This is what you knew was going to happen all along. You knew that you had buyer's remorse or whatever it was, and you figured out that you could get Trey Hendrickson, and this is a way to get out of giving up 2 first-round picks and having to absorb the Maxx Crosby contract. You found a way to get out of it, and then you found a way that you could pay Trey Hendrickson exactly what Maxx Crosby was making in cap space and get your two first-round picks back, and that's what you did.
Okay, so let me say this. Why, if that's the case, and they wanted to backpedal, what triggered the Ravens saying that we gave up too much? You know what I'm saying? Like, did they think? Okay, so let's connect all the dots, right? There was a report from ESPN. Maybe report is the wrong way to phrase this. There was loose speculation from Rich Eisen suggesting that the Chicago Bears were offering 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby as well as the Ravens. And that the Raiders went with the Ravens picks because the Ravens had a worse pick in this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
So that was out there before the trade, or just after the trade went down, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that was the case, is it possible that the Ravens thought that the Bears were going to come over the top and they were really just driving the price up?
Yeah.
And they thought that the Bears would come in and offer even more than 2 first-round picks and try and land Maxx Crosby. And that it's like the guy who's at the auction house, right? And he's there putting up the paddle for the auction. And then he's having fun with it. And so he's raising the paddle and he's like, all right, they're going up they're up to huge numbers of money, right? And then they're like, sold to that gentleman. And he looks around and goes, wait, hold on. I don't actually, can I put it on credit? I don't actually have that money. I don't actually want to do that.
I would believe that.
Like, is it possible that they thought that another team, and just connecting dots, the Chicago Bears, that they were going to come in at a higher bid and that they wouldn't have to worry about it? And that's why they were playing the Trey Hendrickson side as well at the same time, because they figured they drove it up enough. They're going to get Hendrickson. And then, oh, crap, we landed Maxx Crosby.
I would believe that if I didn't see the Lamar Jackson gift guy, Denzel Washington training day, boom, like 5 hours before the trade went down. The trade was announced because he knew something, apparently. Or maybe he just was watching training day.
No, he clearly did. And it felt like the Ravens were all on board. And so what changed their mind?
I just think they got buyer's remorse. Like, they looked at it and they were like, oh man, like, we really gave away 2 first-round picks for a 30-year-old with a bad knee. And they looked at it and they said, well, now we can make, and then maybe they were actually trying to get both. And they said, well, no, we can't. But Trey Hendrickson is actually interested in coming here. Well, we can get out of this.
Well, and there was also the conversation about Hendrickson valuing. We talked about it here on the show. Did he value himself too highly? And there was the talk of, he's going to have to take less than what he thought he could get.
Yeah.
Because on the open market, no one's going to offer him the money that he was expecting to get. And so maybe because of that dropping, they changed their mind on the deal that was already completed for Maxx Crosby.
Yeah. And I don't think that they read into it, but a lot of people, I mean, listen, if you're listening to us or you're listening to other sports radio and you're a GM and you're listening to everybody saying you gave up too much, and then you're driving around and taking that into account, then you're probably going to end up on a set somewhere commentating on other GMs giving up too much, right? I think maybe he thought that he ended up giving up too much. Maybe DaCosta thought he gave up too much. Simple as that. Buyer's remorse, man.